Hare Krishna. Today, Nityananda Prabhu will not be able to give the class. So here I am, a poor replacement for him. Uh, I hope you find it valuable here. So let's start our session, continuing from where Prabhu had left. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you very much. I'll just share this link. The point where we had left uh, when Nityan Prabhu was conducting the class is that Hanuman had met Mother Sita and he was about to leave uh, Ashokavana at that point in time. Yeah. And he was then considering what else to be done. Mother Sita was very much enamored by the company of Hanuman. She did not want to leave him very fast, and she wanted to spend some more time with him. So she was asking him, can you spend some more time? But he knew that rush back to he had to rush back to the shores where Jambavan and others are present, and then he had to give the news of Mother Sita. But just before leaving the place, he felt that he had to do something else. And what is that something else that he had to do? So that's where we begin with Sarga 41. And let me also share my screen. May I request the devotees to let me mute it. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So this is the first verse of the 41st Sarga. Very nicely, Valmiki brings about some very unique qualities of Mother Sita and also how we can apply that in our own life. Plus, he also brings in something about Hanumanji in the first few verses of this 41st chapter. Valmiki begins with saying, Sachavagbihi prashasthabihi gamishyan pujitastaya tasmat adeshat tasma deshat apakramya chintayam asavanaraha. Having been honored and praised by Sita's words, Hanuman began to depart from Sita's presence and started considering. What did he consider? We'll come to that shortly. But please see the choice of the words which Valmiki gives here and in a few more verses that we are going to consider. He first uses the word that Vanaraha. He addresses Hanuman as Vanara. No problem with it. But what is this Vanara doing? He is Chintayam Asa. He is considering something else that can be done. Normally, monkeys are not considered as somebody who are capable of deliberation. They are driven by impulses. But this Vanara here is not a normal monkey. As we had heard several times in the past, Va Naraha. Could they be human beings too? That is the position of Hanuman here, that he's not just an ordinary monkey. He's the most intelligent person that we have ever met with. He is the embodiment of the knowledge of all the Vedic scriptures. And he is now thinking. And what made him think here? Valmiki is saying, Prashasta Pujita. He was both praised, Prashasta, and honored, Pujita, by Mother Sita. And because of this encouragement, which is coming from Mother Sita, he uh, thought that I have come here to meet Mother Sita, but there is something more that can be done. Anybody who's given a task and just does that, that is not sufficient. They should do something more. And so he thought, if I gave that the information that Mother Sita is present here, that's fine. But Ramachandra would also want to know what is the strength of the army of Ravana. How strong is Ravana? How ma- what is the strength of the army that he would require so that he can conquer Lanka and get back Sita? So Hanuman thought, I have to find out this information. How is he going to find this information? We'll do one thing here. So to find this information, Hanuman thought, I have to use certain standard techniques of war that is generally used. And he says, and he started thinking this way. न सामरक्षसगुणाय कल्पते न दानम् अर्थोपचितेषु युज्यते न भेदसाध्या बलदर्पिता जनाः पराक्रम अस्तेव ममेह रोचते. He said, typically, when we encounter an enemy in political circles, we consider Sama, Dana, Danda, Veda. Sama means negotiations. Dharma here, sorry, Dana it refers to gifts here. Bheda is somehow create a rift between people. And finally comes Danda or the use of force or punishment. So he started considering this way. If I apply Sama, if I start negotiating, will they accept? No. Why? Because these people are not used to, they by their very characteristic, they are Rakshasas. They are not used to negotiations. They don't care for their life. They don't care for the loss of anything. It's just they are so proud of their abilities that they would never negotiate for anything. And so he says they are gunaya kalpate. They don't have a proper set of qualities or characteristics. They will not think if there is a war, so many Rakshasas would die. The people in Lanka will be bereft of their husbands and fathers, etc. That will not even cross their mind. So he says, Na sama rakshasu. Then he says, Na danam. Why? We cannot give them anything in money or jewels, etc. Because Lanka is so rich. The Rakshasas are extremely rich. For those of you who had heard the previous sessions, you would have heard that the window sills of the palace of Ravana were made of ivory. And then it was bedecked with all the jewels. This was just a windowsill or a window of the palace of Ravana. Then you can imagine how opulent Lanka is. Then he says, Na bheda sadhya baladarpita. I cannot even consider dissension amongst them because they are proud of their strength. And they would think if somebody from outside is trying to have dissension amongst us, what power does he have? They will find it out very easily. So he says, none of these three would work. So what would work? What works is that I have to show my strength to them. Only then I would be able to figure out some things. What is it? First, if I show my strength And if I kill a few of the Rakshasas or the Rakshasis, maybe, number one, they may soften a little bit and say, this Lanka, over which nobody has ever crossed and come, they never crossed the ocean and came to Lanka. If somebody has come, then it means that they are really powerful. And if they've already killed some of our Rakshasas or Rakshasis, definitely they have some valor in them. And therefore, let us have some conciliatory steps taken. That could be one step. It may happen, it may not happen. And then he thought, but then there is something else that could happen here. If I really engage in a battle with the Rakshasas and Rakshasis, then I can know their strength. I can know the strength of their army, and I can report it back to Lord Ramachandra. Then I may even get to know what is the real intention, the feelings of Ravana here. Does he want Sita at all cost? Is he ready for war? Or is he not ready for a war? He's just thinking that nobody can cross over to Lanka, so let me have Sita here. Is that what it's going to be? So I can assess the mind of Ravana. Not just that, I can even assess the mind of his ministers. So I have to get onto a show of strength with with these Rakshasas here. So to get onto the strength, the show of strength, how do I go about it? So Ravana thought, Hanuman thought, Ravana likes this Ashokavana very much. So what is he doing here? He has kept Mother Sita here, and he also uses his Ashokavana to enjoy with his different queens. If I destroy this Ashokavana, he will get enraged because he, that is Ravana, is driven by lust. And when somebody destroys the facilities by which a lusty person can enjoy, they will get enraged. And that is how Hanumanji can get to know a show of, can get to know the real motivations and the strength of Ravana. What does Ravana do when he is enraged? So uh, Hanumanji began to totally demolish the beauty of Ashokavana. Very beautiful. He demolished the mountains, he uprooted the trees. There were so many vines, he threw them apart, and there were some there were some Rakshasas who came to thwart his attempt. And Hanuman made a mincemeat of all of them. He killed some of them. Now, I'd like to pause here and maybe I'd like to, okay. The reason I want to pause here is we see some unique qualities about Hanumanji. He's taking some initiative, and his initiative is very commendable. Now, we'll have to look at in our own lives. Do we want to take initiative in any aspect in our own lives? Some of us want to, most of us may not want to. Why? Because life is so troublesome to us that just to get through the grind of the day is troublesome. And why should we trouble until trouble troubles us? Whenever we take any initiative, it only means there is some trouble. So are quite often not motivated to take initiative either in our office or in our family or in our spiritual life. Why? Because we are overwhelmed by the things to do in our life. We are overwhelmed by false expectations, expectations that we have put on ourselves, which have no real substance. And in the pursuit of expectations that we have put on our own selves, we neglect the real purpose of our own life. And if you look at it in contrast to Hanumanji, Hanuman is a highly motivated person, and his motivation comes from his appreciation of Ramachandra. And that's why it is said that if you really want to be motivated in spiritual life, it is very important for us to read or scriptures or hear katha that motivates us. We are not meant to read or here to check a box saying, I did my reading for this day, I did my hearing for this day. We are meant to kindle the innermost motivation to connect to the Supreme Lord. And likewise, when we go to our workplace too, we are not meant to just go and do whatever is being told to us to do. Like Hanumanji, if our work is an offering to the Supreme Lord, we need to take initiative to go beyond boundaries. Why? Because who knows, the product that we are working on can be used by some devotee at some point in time. And it is during the course of our interaction with our other colleagues that we get to apply what we have learned in our spiritual life. So we have to do it with the motivation that I have learned something in my spiritual life and I can apply it in my workplace. I can apply it in my dealings with my family members, with other devotees, etc. That motivation is important. But for that motivation to also manifest, for most of us, we need an encouragement. And that encouragement, like how Mother Sita gave to Hanumanji, we also need that encouragement. So we have to surround ourselves with folks, with either in the workplace or in our devotee community, somebody who can take us to the next step. Many times, we as devotees, or especially those who are leaders, they make a mistake of surrounding themselves with those who report to them or who are completely dependent on them. We neglect the association of peers and we neglect the association of seniors. The way we neglect the association of seniors is we believe that, hey, here comes a very charismatic leader. I will listen to him. Maybe something works, something doesn't work, but we don't build an active relationship with the seniors. And likewise, when it is with the peers, we tend to think that I don't have enough time. I have to take care of so many of my subordinates here that I cannot have time with my peers here. So the relationship with peers get neglected, the relationship with seniors get neglected, and constantly and consequently, what can we get as an encouragement from those who are subordinates? They can only say, Prabhu or Mataji, you're so great. I like this so much from you. That is one kind of an encouragement which can push us to some extent. But just like Hanumanji got an encouragement from Jambavan or how he's getting from his superior, Mother Sita, in the same way, there will be a different kind of impetus when we get the motivation from our peers and superiors. We we find a refined sense of uh, value in our own lives in what we are trying to do. We also find a renewed sense of zest and vigor when we spend time with them because they feel that they are here to help us grow. And what else to do there? So, just like Hanumanji spent time with Mother Sita, we too need to spend time with our seniors and our peers to progress in our own spiritual life. And most of the time, it has to always be in a very good listening mode. So that helps us. Another thing that helps us is a phrase which Srila Prabhupada often used to say, do the needful. And I've often heard His Holiness Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj tell me also, same thing, do the needful. Hanuman, at every juncture, he was always wondering, what is the needful thing to be done? Either when he was jumping across the ocean or when he was searching for Mother Sita in the palace of Ravana, or even when he was despondent. He was always thinking, I'm sad. But then, will it help if I'm sad here? What else needs to be done? Let me try again to search for Mother Sita. So, doing the needful actually invokes the mercy of the Supreme Lord, especially so when the mood is that we are doing this work for the Supreme Lord. Or to put it a little differently, quite often we draw boundaries. Boundaries to protect our own selves, to protect ourselves from being burnt out. But then when we see somebody who needs some help, and if we don't go beyond the boundary and do the needful to help that person, our heart becomes hard. So we need to extend ourselves, not to the extent that our basic sadhana is compromised or our basic relationships are compromised, but definitely to the extent that we see there are so many living entities in this world who need some assistance. There are those who are guiding me. I may have to be of some service to them. There is my spiritual master who needs some assistance. In each of these, when we exercise our spirit of service, Krishna decorates or Krishna bestows upon us something very unique. He cleanses the heart in such a way that we get to know how can I do my service better and what is it that resonates with my own inner nature. These days, a lot of folks have a problem in trying to figure out what is my inner nature? What should I do so that I will, every day when I wake up in the morning, I have energy to do it. And for most of us, this will be revealed to us through the medium of service. Sevonmukhe his jihvadav swayam eva sfuratyadaha. Why? Because for us, our true nature is that of wanting to serve Krishna. And how can we see Krishna or how can we get in touch with him? Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyaihi. The Krishna's name, his form, his pastimes, his qualities, na bhavet. They cannot be revealed through our senses, including the internal sense of the mind. Sevon mukhe hijihva dau swayam meva sfurittadaha. It's through service alone that we get to know what is it that I am supposed to do? What is that Krishna wants me to do? And herein comes a conundrum. We see so many successful people in this world uh, who have figured out what they have to do. They go on podcasts saying, I was walking on a road trying to figure out what I should do. And then I saw this problem statement. Somebody didn't have something. And then I figured out this resonates with me. And therefore they start this business venture or a podcast or something like that. And they're very successful at it. So the Krishna factor doesn't seem to have come in their lives. Why is the Krishna factor or the Ramachandra factor required in our lives? It's required because the moment we come in contact with a devotee and we begin to accept something from the devotee, anything which is just at the realm of the mind alone will have a temporary phase in our life. But something which is related to Krishna through the medium of service that will keep growing more and more. And it will help us to unravel the real spirit of service that is innate and latent in us. And that's why it's very important that uh, we have this mood of service, which we can learn from somebody else. And who else to learn other than Hanumanji here? He is doing the needful and he's going beyond boundaries. And that's what we learn from, well, that's one of the things that we learn from Sundarakanda. Take initiative for something in life. And if you don't know what to take initiative for, we have to pray to Krishna. We have to associate with our peers and seniors, and we'll get to figure it out. And even if you have not figured it out, there is nothing lost because as long as we are a servant of the servant in helping somebody's mission move forward, Krishna is happy. That itself is a bigger statement for all of us that we have to ensure the success of other devotees. We have to ensure the success of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Srila Prabhupada, and our spiritual masters. And if they are happy, that is our happiness. Just like what Hanumanji is doing. If Ramachandra is able to meet Mother Sita, he's all the more happy. If he is able to get the message of Mother Sita, he is all the more happy. What is Hanumanji getting here? Nothing else from a material perspective. But from a spiritual perspective, being an instrument to unite Ramachandra and Sita, or to unite Radha and Krishna, is much more fulfilling than anything else. And for us to help a devotee to serve Srimati Radharani or her entourage, or Srimati Sita Devi and her entourage, that's the perfection of life. And and we should be so fortunate that I have been roaming around so many births doing nothing. And here I have got this opportunity to be a part of that service. Let me get full-fledged into it and do whatever is required. When we do that, we receive the blessings of Hanumanji. So that was one point on initiative that we can learn from this particular section of Ramayana. And then when Hanumanji was uprooting all the trees and the vines, and there was a small hillock and there's a mountain, was even blowing it to pieces there, all these mountains, etc. All the Rakshasas and the Rakshasis got terrified, especially the Rakshasis. They began to run hither and thither, helter skelter, and they came to Mother Sita and asked, actually, we have seen you speaking to this person. It looks like you have already spoken. Who is this person? What is he doing? Where is he from? Can you tell us? And then what did Mother Sita say? Let me share my screen for that. Then, so Mother Sita, so the way Valmiki introduces in this section is, Ata abravit mahasadri Sita sarva guna sundari Rakshasan bhima rupanam vijnane mama kagatihi. The second line that is present here, that is Mother Sita's response. But Valmiki introduces Mother Sita in this section as Ata Abravit, and then Abravit said, who said? Sita. What did, and who is the Sita? Mahasadhi. She's an extremely pious person and a sadhu, complete sadhu. And he also tells her as Sarvanga Sundari, Sarva Anga Sundari, whose every limb of the body is very, very beautiful. This is very important for us to know. Why? I'll come to that point. So, what did Mother Sita say? These Bhima Rupa, they are of immense forms, I mean, very fierce forms. Vijnane, to know, Mama Kagatihi, how can I know about these Rakshasas who have these fierce forms? They have asked about this monkey. And what is Mother Sita saying? She's talking about these Rakshasas and Rakshasis. In other words, she is trying to tell them, maybe this Hanuman is a Rakshasa. How can I know anything about these Rakshasas and Rakshasis? Then she says, Yuyam eva avijanita yoyat yadva karishyati ahireva hi yaheha padan vijanati na samshayaha. You alone can know about who he is and what he is about. Why? Ahir eva hi, ahihi. A serpent alone knows the movement of another serpent. So he's probably a Rakshasa. You're also a Rakshasa. You're all Rakshasis. Only you both can know about each other. And then she says, Aham api asya bhitasmi na etat janami ko anvayan. Vedmi rakshasam evainam kamarupinam agatam. Aham api. I too asya bhitasmi. I too am scared of him. Na etat janami ko anvayan. I do not know who he is. Vedmi. I think rakshasam evainam. I think he's a demon who came here assuming a form of his choice. He came in the form of a monkey, but probably he's a demon. Come on. Isn't Mother Sita telling a lie here? Just a minute. Yeah. So isn't Mother Sita telling a lie here that I don't know him? In fact, she had so many sargas of conversations with Hanumanji, right? Initially, she asked him, who are you? Hanuman even told all about uh, how he met Lord Ramachandra, how he has been sent on a mission by Lord Ramachandra. She has heard about it. She has heard about his mission too. She has even given this chudam, of the ring that has to be communicated to Lord Ramachandra. She has given a message. She has conveyed all the pastimes. And she saying, Na etad janami. I don't know about him. Isn't Mother Sita telling a lie? So this aspect of Mother Sita telling a lie can be thought about in at three different levels. One is from a dharmic perspective. Second is from the role which Mother Sita is playing. And third is from the feelings of Mother Sita. So first, let's go from the external, ete bahya, like how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to tell Ramananda Raya, from the external to the internal. Let's go step by step here. From a dharmic perspective, we hear from several scriptures how the person who tells a falsehood or tells a lie, he has to suffer in hell. But what is truth and what is false? And to know about this, we have a very interesting episode in the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, in the Shalya Parva, there is a particular incident that happened wherein Maharaj Yudhishthir was injured almost grievously. Nobody knew whether he's going to survive it at all. And his charioteer took him away from the battlefield and took him to the camp where they started nursing his wounds. Supposedly, those days, they had some medical potions, so to say, by which even if an arrow or a javelin had pierced the body, they would apply it on the body, and in a matter of days' time, the person would recover. It's a lost art these days. So when Maharaj Yudhishthir was being carried away, Bhima saw this and told Arjuna, "Hey, maybe Maharaj Yudhishthir is very grievously wounded. I think you have to go and look at him." So Arjuna said, "But if I look at it, if I leave this place and see what's happening with him, who's going to take care of this war that's happening here?" So Bhima said, "No problem. I will take care of the war here. I can handle them. You go and take care of our dear brother." So Arjuna too left the battlefield and went to the encampment where Yudhishthira was being nursed. And as soon as Yudhishthira saw Arjuna, he said, "Oh, really? You've come here, Arjuna? Just this morning, you said that by the end of the day, I'm going to kill Karna. If you have come here now, it means that Karna has been killed. It's a cause of celebration. Is that so? I'm so happy that Arjuna, you did this." Of course, we can also learn from uh, from this exchange of Yudhishthira with Arjuna that if Arjuna had killed a Maharati like Karna, Yudhishthira is happy. It is not like that for him, I alone should do everything and I should get the glory. If his brother does it, that's glory. That's and if he is glorious, he is happy in it. And that's another quality of a leader, that they are very happy with others getting great accomplishments. So when Yudhishthira said this statement, "Have you killed Karna?" Arjuna said, "No, no, no, I didn't kill Karna. I was just very concerned about your health, what's happening with you, and so I have come here." As soon as Yudhishthira heard this, his feelings changed. Of course, he was being nursed in his wounds, he was groaning in pain, and yet he said, "What kind of a person are you? You have told this morning that you are not going to set aside your Gandiva unless and until you kill Karna, and you have not followed up on your word. Is there a person who, like, can there ever be a person like you who does not follow up on the word? Fie on you who has set aside your Gandiva. You just to keep your Gandiva away, you are not fit for this Gandiva, for this weapon that you have received from the celestials." And in response, what did Arjuna do? He took his sword and he was ready to kill Yudhishthir Maharaj. You see how quickly things change. He came to look to inquire about the health of Yudhishthir Maharaj, and now he is becoming an instrument to kill Yudhishthir Maharaj. And Krishna, who was with him, asked, Arjuna, what are you doing? So Arjuna said, I have taken a vow that anybody who insults me and says, set aside, keep my Gandiva away, I'm going to kill that person. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said it, and I have to follow my vow. I have to be truthful. So I'm going to kill Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then Krishna laughed at Arjuna and he said, come on, you do not know what is the codes of Dharma. So then Krishna tells Arjuna, one may lie when there is a threat to life, where there is a threat to one's entire property, in marriage, and if another condition, and for the sake of a Brahmana. So there is a way in which we can lie because it's not important just about truth or lie is a relative phrase, a relative thing here. For what we are telling a truth or for what we are telling a lie is more important. And then Krishna illustrated it with an example where uh, a, a Brahmana, he told the truth, but he was not able to protect the lives of others. And consequently, he went and suffered in hell. I'm just making it short because we have other things to discuss and we have little time here. It's a very detailed narration which is given in the Shalya Parva from Canto 69 onwards. You can go and refer to it. But from a dharmic perspective, one can lie when there's a threat to life. So Mother Sita can be justified in saying that in case she tells the truth, maybe Hanuman's life would be in danger. Forget Hanuman's life. Even Sita's life may be in danger. Just now she got this news that Lord Ramachandra is eagerly waiting to meet her. He is arranging for an army, and Hanuman would go back and convey this news to Lord Ramachandra, and an army would come, but I would not be able to meet Lord Ramachandra. What what is the utility of all of this? Maybe from that dharmic perspective, one can say, yes, it is okay for Sita to tell a lie. But then there is also another aspect to it, Sita's role. According to Pillai Lokacharya, in the Sri Vachana Bhushana, there are three characteristics of Mother Sita, or three roles that Mother Sita usually enacts in her earthly incarnation. And she also continues to do this even in the divine loka of Ayodhya. Number one is she has compassion for the suffering masses. And this is particularly exhibited during Sita's stay in Lanka. Number two, she exhibits the feature of complete subservience to the Supreme Lord. And this was exhibited during the time when she was banished from Ayodhya after the Pattabhishek or the coronation of Lord Ramachandra. And the third aspect of Mother Sita is that she's completely dependent on the Supreme Lord. And this was exhibited during Sita's entry into earth. So, why am I telling this? I'm telling this because we cannot understand Mother Sita by our own selves. We have to look at acharyas, and they have given us guidelines that if you want to understand a particular pastime, these are the principles by which you need to understand. So it's not that they have given a commentary for every detail in Ramayana, but when they give principles, we need to learn how to apply it, understand, and more importantly, appreciate and live by it. So, how does compassion come here? Because Mother Sita is still here in Lanka. Her compassion is coming here because she has already met Sarama, Trijata, who are very favorable. She needs to give her association even more until Lord Ramachandra comes. And so, to those who are very favorable to her, she has to give her association even more. And the other thing that happens is if Mother Sita replies in truth to whatever questions were posed by the Rakshasis, what would be the consequence? If she were to say, this is Hanuman, he is a messenger of Lord Ramachandra, then they would ask the next question. Okay, he is messenger of Lord Ramachandra. What did he tell to you? What did you tell him? So there'll be more and more questions that would come up. And if she has to tell the truth, she would have to tell all about the confidential dealings that she was telling Hanumanji. Hmm. So it is in when we when we read Bhagavad Gita, we hear in the 18th chapter, the 67th verse, Idam te na tapaskaya na abhaktaya kadachana na cha ashrushrushave vachyam na cha mamyo abhyasuyati. Krishna says that this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are austere. Those who are not austere, na abhakta, those who are not devoted, na cha ashrushrushave, those who are not rendering service, and asuya, those who are envious of me. For those who have these four qualities, one should not reveal the truth because it just makes matters much more worse for them. They cannot appreciate it. So these remaining Rakshasis here, they had not rendered service to Mother Sita, and by giving out these confidential details, they will not be able to really appreciate Hanumanji or Lord Ramachandra. They are just going to use it as a fodder for finally feeding the ego of Ravana. They are going to make him more happy. It's not going to help anybody. So Mother Sita is choosing her service in both ways. That is her role of being compassionate in both ways. She is giving her time, her association even more for some Rakshasis, and she wants that these Rakshasis who have not yet become favorable to her through her kindness, through her gentleness, she's hoping may they become recipient later. So for that reason, she's not telling them. So she's doing her role here. That's the reason number two. The third is something that we get to know from our acharyas, the feelings of Mother Sita, and primarily from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chatushloki verse. So this is the third of the Chatushloki verse. And I'll read this verse and I'll read this translation. It will just look like there seems to be no connection between our topic that we are discussing now and the verse and its translation. But let's go through it. So Mother Sita, so it's not Sita. So in this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chatushloki, it's written here. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu cha avacheshvanu pravishtani apravishtani tatateshu nateshu aham. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos, and at the same time, they do not enter into the cosmos. Pravishtani, apravishtani. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time, I'm outside of everything. Two verses prior to this verse, it is said that we are now going to hear the rahasya, the secret of all secrets. And when we just read this verse, we just can't comprehend what is the secret here. Krishna exists outside of everything, and yes, he's inside of everything. What is the secret here? It just seems to be some abstract. Jiva Goswami, in his commentary to this verse, he says, what Krishna is actually telling here is that pravishtani apravishtani tatateshu nateshu aham. That he is saying, I exist out, he creates everything, he is outside of everything, which means where? He's outside of creation. He is there in the spiritual world. He is there in Vaikunta. He is there in Ayodhya. He is there in Golok Vrindavan. And at the same time, he also enters. He, the entry here is not spoken in terms of Paramatma here. The entry here is for those whose hearts are Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. Those whose hearts are melting with love for the Supreme Lord, in their inner hearts, they will be able to see the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord enters the hearts of those who have loving feelings for him. Sita is having, Mother Sita is having that loving feeling for Lord Ramachandra. And He is within her. He is experiencing it. This is the same kind of feeling which the gopis of Vrindavan used to have even after Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura and Dwaraka. Oh, yeah, so fine. She's having these feelings, and now all the feelings of separation are being rekindled are being transformed with the feeling that, hey, there is going to be a uniting. There's a sambhoga. So he has all these feelings here, very transcendental feelings. And then comes the question here. Can she go and reveal these to these Rakshasis? In the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says that regarding one's sadhana and one's sadhya, one should not have a propaganda or disclose to everybody about one's feelings. So if the Rakshasis here who have not yet become favorable, if they get to know the feelings of Mother Sita, this is not as per what the scripture says, that one's feelings are not meant for public consumption. And that is why we know that it, great acharyas, typically when they give their classes, they don't talk so much about the feelings that they have in their heart. They say, this is what other acharyas say. That acharya has written in his book, and this is what he's talking about it. It's so nice. These acharyas have these wonderful realizations. They don't bring themselves into the picture and say, I am relishing it like this. Why? Because they are shy. Real, true devotional realization naturally makes a devotee very shy. And why are they shy? Because they feel after such a long time, I'm having this understanding here. I don't want to lose it so far. If I'm going to speak about about it to everybody, maybe a pride can occur. And I have been in this material world for so long. This is not the way for it is not the time for me to reveal all this. So they keep these innermost dealings within them. And only when somebody renders very sincere service to them, they reveal their inner heart. And in addition to service, the other devotee should also be purified to that extent. So the yearning that we should have is, may we become so qualified enough that we get to appreciate the realizations of these great acharyas. May we become a part of it. And that leads us, in one sense, to a part of the conclusion that this is all nice, but it's at a very high level. But at the level where we are, we still do not have that intense yearning to serve Krishna. Or it is not, there is something for me, there is something for the Supreme Lord, there's something for Ramachandra, not everything for me. How do
இந்த
we,
டிஸ்பிளேல
how,
வந்துடா பின்ன அதுக்குள்ள எதுக்கெல்லாம் அவசரம் அங்க உள்ளுக்குள்ளே உட்காந்துக்கலாம்
sorry, I think somebody I had unmuted themselves. So how do we apply it at our own stage? In fact, our fundamental problem for many of us is, should I speak the truth always? Can I not avoid speaking the truth? That's the first thing many of us try to do, especially when we are confronted with things that we are very ashamed of speaking in public. Or sometimes it's not even about our inner thoughts, it's about we feel ashamed about our accomplishments. Like a small child may say, if you ask the child, have you read all the syllabus that you have to do, you have to read for your exam? Naturally, the child wants to play, and the child would say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I have read everything. I am ready. I am ready for the examination." And it starts with from childhood, and it gets on into adulthood too. And we often do not find sufficient reasons on why we have to be truthful. Some of them may say, "Hey, the scriptures say that if you speak a lie, you have to suffer in hell." As they say in Hindi, "Tab ka tab dekh lenge." Who cares about it? Next life, I will care about it. At least now, let me enjoy. Later, I can go to hell. It's okay. What's the big deal? Anyway, I'm suffering here also. There, I will suffer later. So it so happens that if we start lying once, the momentum picks on, and we finally become callous to this aspect of telling the truth. And how do we motivate ourselves and others to speak the truth? What is the motivation? So it seems that next life is not a motivation for speaking truth. It seems that following a principle is also tough because most people find it very tough to follow principles. They find it very easy to relate to a person and follow something rather than following principles. Or in other words, doing something for a person is much more easier than following a principle. And that's why the process of bhakti yoga is much more simpler and natural compared to processes like Advaita, where it is a principle that an aspirant tries to follow. Whereas in the path of bhakti yoga, it is the happiness of a devotee, the happiness of Krishna that we are trying to accomplish. I mean, to trying to satisfy. I mean, we are trying to get them satisfied or get them others have more happiness, and in that automatically we let go of our kleshas, our all the distresses that we have in our life, and all the vasanas, the conditioning that we have in life. So it helps that in one sense that we should speak a truth because our acharyas like it that way. That's one way in which it helps us. That's a nice point here. But many times, even that doesn't help because our own relationship with our acharyas, with other devotees, is quite on a sticky wicket many times. So, one more thing that can help us in speaking the truth is that for so many lifetimes, I have been wandering in samsara. And now that we have come here, let us complete the perfection of life in this birth. And to the extent that we hesitate in speaking the truth or we gravitate towards speaking a lie, to that extent, we are not depending on Krishna. We are only depending on our abilities. We are depending on our strength. And the path of devotional service is one of depending on the strength of Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram, our spiritual master, and other devotees. We depend on their strength. So, if we really want more opportunities to depend on the strength of Lord Balaram and Lord Nityananda, we have to be truthful because then we get a challenging circumstance. And in that challenging circumstance, we can cry out to Krishna. And when we cry out to Krishna, then our heart becomes soft and Krishna will come and stay in our heart. And likewise, we can have like how for Mother Sita, she was crying and crying and crying for all those many, many, many months. And Lord Ramachandra is coming. So this Sundarakanda is beautiful because it is talking about the path in which Lord Ramachandra finally manifests physically in front of Mother Sita. Finally, I mean, the preparation that is taken, that is required for Lord Ramachandra to manifest. He will manifest finally in the Yuddha Kanda. But what is that preparation required? Even that process is beautiful. And that's what we can learn from this particular section here. So I'll pause here, almost 55 minutes. Any comments or questions? I'm not like Nityan the Prabhu that I can answer so well. So whatever, if you have any comments, I'll be honored and grateful for that. If you want to add something more, especially. So no comment, I guess.
Hare Krishna, Shamkota Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful lecture, Prabhu. Just wanted to uh, add one or two comments.
Yes, Prabhu,
Uh,
please.
as in terms of speaking the truth, you were speaking. Uh, Mother Sita was telling Ravana when he came to kidnap her,
Yes.
as we heard in the previous classes, and
Mm,
she was telling about her identity. Uh,
mm,
truly, she was not hiding anything at that point of time.
mm,
So she was speaking the truth. And in
yes.
terms of hiding the truth, uh,
Mm,
as you are telling about examples. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, there are some examples where the devotees were hiding their ecstatic situation. They were not revealing. I don't
mm,
recall the exact name of the character where the devotee actually fell from the chair on the ground due to ecstatic situation. And when others were asking what happened, and they said, having some history or something like that, not revealing the exact situation. So just that came in my mind. There are other situations also in Chaitanya Charitamrita where the examples are there, where the exact specific truth were not revealed. Something else was spoken.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you. Thank you so much. In fact, whatever the first point you said is also quoted by some of the acharyas that Mother Sita had a bad, what you call, reaction. Like she spoke the truth to Ravana once, and she's now here in Lanka. So she felt, oh, if I speak the truth again, what is going to happen? That is also given in some commentaries. Thank you for bringing it up, Prabhu. So, Prabhu's nice point. Anybody else wants to add something more?
Hare Krishna. This
Hare
is
Krishna.
Stira Dasi.
Hare
I like
Krishna.
the point. I like the point you were making about do the needful, and then you connected it to taking initiatives and how Hanuman is just not going away by giving the ring to Sita, finding Sita. He wants to do something extra, meaning it was very mindful, thoughtful to even think like that in one service, because usually the tendency is, okay, I got it done, let me keep moving. So thank you for that point.
Yeah, Hanumanji's wonderful nature. Thank you. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I just had a question. And today you mentioned that Sita was superior to Hanuman. Sita Mata is superior to Hanumanji.
Hmm.
And in the previous classes, we also heard that Hanuman is acting as a guru, and he
Ah,
gave the name, to Sita Mata. Right? So
hmm.
I'm getting a little confused. She's superior. How does she need the name being an eternal consort? If you can please help me understand that.
Your voice was little bit, I mean, breaking here, but help me understand this. Is your question that on one hand, Hanumanji is the guru, and on the other hand, I was telling Hanumanji is the guru who has come to give the message of Lord Ramachandra to Mother Sita, and I was saying Sita is the superior. How these two seem to be contradictory? How is it possible? Is that what it is? Is that what you were asking?
Yes, sure. And specifically, I thought at least what my understanding from the previous classes was Hanumanji gave the name of Lord Ram for Sita
Hmm.
Mata to. So I'm trying to understand that as
I'm sorry. Hanumanji gave the. Can you repeat it, Prabhu? Hanumanji
he
gave the.
gave the name of Lord Ram for Sita Mata
Yes.
to chant.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So I'm trying to understand that thing as well. Because she's an eternal consort.
I mean, so you're how can I mean Hanumanji is giving Lord Ramachandra. How can Sita be superior? Is that the question? No. Maybe others, somebody else who has heard it. Maybe my
Yeah,
speaker is not good enough. Others
yeah,
can
maybe,
help me to
maybe from my
understand the question.
headphones.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Uh,
Nritya Gauranga.
Hare
So
Krishna. Prabhu. Yes.
what I'm
Hmm.
what I understand is Sita Devi, Sita Mata is already an eternal consort of Lord Ramachandra. So how can Hanuman give Lord Rama's name to Sita? He already is that this is what I
Well,
understand. So
okay. Well,
Yes,
let's
Rohit,
see.
that's right. That's a part of my question. Yes.
In this section here, or in this entire series of pastimes, there are two of them here whom Hanuman is talking to. One is the Chaya Sita or the Shadow Sita or Vedavati, and another is Goddess Sita. Both are present. So, in one sense, it is the Jiva. This entire pastime is enacted that a Jiva who has gone out of, who has entered this material world needs to be uh, retrieved back to the spiritual world. That is Lord Hanuman, that is Hanumanji giving the mantra to, or and giving the message to Mother Sita. That is one aspect. And the other aspect is the each of us need the mercy of Mother Sita. We need the mercy of the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. And how Mother Sita, by her act, by her complete dependence, actually instills in Hanumanji a greater devotion to Lord Ram and even Mother Sita. That is happening from the facet of Mother Sita. So both things are happening at the same time. And sometimes Acharya give commentary on this, sometimes they give commentary on that. Does that address here the way I understood, right? Or I still have not understood?
No, yes, Prabhuji, that addresses my question. Thank you for that clarity.
Thank you. Any other
Hare
comment?
Krishna, Sham. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a nice class.
You have been
I have a
patient
question
and
on. I
yeah,
was
you have a question.
reflecting on what you said about doing the needful and transcending the boundaries in the mood of service.
Hmm.
My question is, sometimes in ISKCON, actually in most times, I hear that we have to follow the instruction,
Hmm.
be not be independent minded, so to speak. So
Hmm.
where does that leave room for transcending boundaries or expanding what one may want to do? Because most
Hmm.
of the time, the way I hear it is, you have to be a very strict follower of what has been said or what has been given,
Hmm.
not put too much of apply too much of your mind to be independent minded.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada, let's go with the way Srila Prabhupada instituted this movement. Some devotees who had been with him for a few months, he would say, go to London and start a center. Did he tell them how to buy a center or how to raise the money for it, etc.? He used to give very high level details, and then they used to, I mean, and then they went and established the preaching movement, say in England and other places, even many other cities in the US too. He did not give all the final details. He left it to them. Uh, when we hear that we have to follow strictly, we have to follow in terms of principles, number one, and number two, we have to understand that the service is given to us not necessarily to just accomplish an objective. A service is given to us so that we get an opportunity to come back to the person who has given us that service or the devotee who's guiding us, saying, this is the service, I am doing it this way, and I think this is the way it can be done. Is it right? Or what would you more do you suggest? In other words, service is a via medium for us to have a deeper relationship with devotees. That by doing that, when we ask these questions, we get to know the inner motivations of other devotees and we can cherish it all the more. Most of the times, our past conditioning thinks of service as just do get things done. And that's because we don't have dependence on Krishna. It is dependence only on our abilities. But the dependence on Hanumanji or Sita or Lord Ramachandra or Krishna and even devotees means we go back to them. So that is what is expected. That I do some portion, I go and tell, can I did this, I think I can do something more. There will be scope for uh, discussion there, discussion and getting inspiration. But it is also true that in the beginning stages of our devotional service, we may end up curtailing the spirit of free will in others. Like we ourselves may tell others, you do exactly what I tell you, don't do anything more than that. And it does curtail that free will spirit, it curtails that volunteer spirit of volunteering. It is a problem. So there is no straight answer to it. It depends on maturity, and maturity comes by interacting with more mature devotees and observing them. I can just share something with you here. There was a time when I was a student, and I was a student in Dallas, and our dear spiritual master for most of us here, His Holiness Rompad Maharaj, had come to Houston. And I took some time off there. It was a summer time. It was sometime May or June. It was the summer semester, no courses. But I was working in the lab. Took some time off and went to Houston. And there was an evening class in the Houston temple. And so Maharaj came to the temple room. He had kept his laptop aside, and then there were devotees, and he came earlier that day, and there was nobody sitting else in that room. I was there, and some other devotees were taking care of something else. So the projector, the screen, nothing was set up. And this was a Houston temple, and I was from Dallas. So I thought, this is their temple, let them take care of it. They know what to do. So I was just standing aside. And then Maharaj looked at me and he said, do the needful. And I had to, I didn't know anything about connecting all that, but moved my hands and legs and tried to do something, get some help. So Maharaj was giving the same instruction what Srila Prabhupada had given multiple times. When he gave that instruction, he was living with his spiritual master. And that's what most devotees do. When they say do it, they are living with the instruction of their spiritual master. They are cherishing it. And as I said, there is scope for coming back and say, I did this. Is this right? Can I do more? But there's a very fine line of asking for every small thing versus doing many things and then asking for it. There is a problem sometimes when we don't know too much, that we do too many things, we might have caused enormous damage. That problem does exist, but we have to learn. Uh, in other words, we should not be so fearful of what is going to happen if I'm going to make mistakes. But our intention should be proper and our heart should be in the right place. That's all I have to say here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, it's 10 minutes past 8, and I think we'll end here. Thank you very much. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.